Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my LinkedIn Lives. I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified wellbeing expert, working with educational institutions and companies, helping them support their family wellbeing challenges. And as you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference. And today I'm super excited, finally, to be interviewing Gemma.
Oh, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Jasmine.
No, thank you so much for coming on. And can you tell us about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a pain coach. I'm based here in Dubai, and I work with people who are struggling with chronic pain, back pain, migraine, fibromyalgia, basically any condition that has been hanging around for more than 3 months.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I either work privately with people or I'm doing corporate workshops to educate people on the science behind pain.
Wow, that sounds like magic, actually, because there's probably so many people who are in pain. So you chose this title, Is Your Pain Curable? That's such a interesting title. Can you tell us what made you choose that and what it means?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's probably on the back of my own story. I had back pain, as you know, for 10 years, which
Oh,
progressively got worse. And you didn't know that.
not 10
Really?
years, no.
Oh, yeah, it was 10 years. It
Yeah.
progressively got worse and worse to the point of sort of, I did everything, physios, osteopaths, chiropractors, injections in my spine. It was bad by the end. And the only thing that kept going through my head is this actually curable? Is there anything I can do? And then,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, it got to the point of surgery, and I was at that crossroads. I was basically waiting for the insurance company to approve surgery,
No way.
which at the time I was living in Sri Lanka and would have involved me flying from Sri Lanka to Singapore for surgery. And just by pure chance, I stumbled across a book which I read on neuroplastic pain, which basically taught me that majority of pain is a learned response. But because it's not something that's taught in medical school, no doctor, no physio, nobody told me this. No, because nobody knew it wasn't their fault. But within a matter of within a matter of a day reading some of this book, I already started feeling like relief and hope. But then the more I threw
Really?
myself into the science, yeah, it was unbelievable. Within 3 months I was having like completely pain-free days, and I thought, if I can get rid of back pain like this, I will
Yeah.
absolutely pivot my career and help other people. So that's what I do.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Let's just say hi to David. Hi, David. How are you doing? And hi to everybody else who's joining. Please let us know if you have any comments or questions. We'd love to hear from you. Right. Wow. That is so interesting. It sounds like it's all about timing as well. Just before you're going to have the operation, suddenly you find this book. So it's like totally meant to be. So,
Yeah.
what did you learn from this book?
So I learned the key thing really is that the more we have pain, the more we feel pain. In the same way, when you learn to ride a bike, you build a neural pathway in your brain, and that's established. And
Mm,
it's hard to break that. You can't years later not know how to ride a bike. You just know because that neural pathway is there. Well, with
yeah.
pain, it's exactly the same. Once that pain pathway is established, it's established. And the more times you feel pain, the stronger it gets and the more pain you get. And the pain is absolutely excruciating. But you can have physical, you can have an MRI scan that's showing huge damage in the area, but the pain is always created in the brain. So when you've got a surgeon or a physio only looking at the actual structure of the bones, that's not the whole picture. The
No.
most of the picture is in the brain.
Oh my
So
God. That's so true. That's so true because, and I remember I spoke to an orthopedic once and he said, yeah, it's all about if you're, because he said, you could have a perfect bone structure, everything's perfect, but you could be in so much pain, or it could be completely damaged, but you don't experience pain. Like he says something like that. And I thought that was quite interesting as well.
yeah,
Um,
that's true. Exactly.
yeah, no. Yeah. So tell us more, Gemma. There's so many things I want to ask you, but this is so
Oh,
interesting. So,
yeah. So, I mean, so basically, the way I help people is that large part is psychoeducation, which is teaching people about the pain. And then we start looking at their own symptoms, and we start to look for evidence of like, so going back to is your pain curable? I'm looking, is your pain neuroplastic or not? So neuroplastic means it's your brain is misfiring signals to your body in the absence of actual, damage. Even though you can see damage, it's still firing signals when it shouldn't be. And there's simple things like, oh, bless you. Things like, does your pain come and go? Like if your pain is worse in the morning and then gradually throughout the day it gets better, it's probably not structural. Otherwise, it would be consistently bad all the time. Does ice and heat affect it? If it helps it, then again, it's probably not structural because it's coming and going. It's being turned on and off by your actions.
Sorry, if it's structural, what does that mean? If it's structural, it means
well,
it's real.
If you break your arm in half and literally your arm is broken,
yes.
that's acute pain. So that is definitely structural. But what we're told on an MRI, I'm not saying all pain's real, all pain. It's all real. But the question is it structural and it needs surgery, or is it that your brain is misfiring signals into your body causing pain? But when we see an MRI scan, we go, oh, look at the damage on that MRI scan. And then the pain gets worse because we go into the pain fear cycle. And the more we fear the pain, the more pain we get. And it's a downward spiral. It's, and it's hard really because most of the clients I work with them when they've hit rock bottom. Very few people come to me when they've got a little twinge in their back. They come to me when they're literally faced with surgery, or they've had surgery, it didn't work, and now they're even more desperate. So
that's what normally happens, isn't it? People normally come when it's really in the late stages because you always think, oh, it's going to go away or something. You just want to forget about things, don't you? You don't want to until you absolutely have to. So, so how does this work? So, can you give us an example of a client you've worked with and what happened? How did it? Because it sounds like you've got the magic cure here, which I don't know.
Well, it feels like magic when I see people come through the other end. It's very rewarding. I'll give you a typical example. So I've worked with a client recently who had shoulder pain to the point of morphine injections in his shoulder. It was that bad. The week before we started, he was considering surgery and getting morphine, rushed into hospital. And we did a session on the education. I sent him a ton of resources, which he also absorbed. He was a great student. Most people with chronic pain are great students because they're very studious people. I love working with people. So the psychoeducation on pain is the first P. I have 4 Ps. That's only an easy way to do it. So teach people about pain. And some clients come on the back of knowing more about it than I do. They've read more books. They've really thrown themselves into it. They've listened to hundreds of podcasts about this subject, but they just need someone to work with, in which case I don't need to do more on the first P. The second P is about personality. Certain personality types are far more susceptible to having neuroplastic pain.
Really?
Yes, like high achievers, real big empaths, people that are very analytical and overthink things, perfectionists, people pleasers. Does it resonate? These
well, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Self-induced
if you're an overthinker, then I don't know, it feels like you would always be in your head, so you might
exactly.
Because I think if you overthink, you sort of sometimes can create problems as well, can't you?
Well, I mean, you're much more susceptible to go down the Google rabbit hole of, oh my goodness, what's wrong with me? And then very quickly get into the pain fear cycle. So but on the other hand, people who are like that also, once they get the right research, they're very quick to adopt it and understand it.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword, but I love people like this because I will show them more compelling evidence than they've got from their medical journey so far, and they're like, oh my goodness, this makes so much sense. And when the penny drops, the pain literally eases almost immediately. You can just see it. I had one client who had migraines for ages. We did one session, and the next session he's like, right, we've got rid of the migraines now we need to do the back pain. So it can literally be immediate. So so pain, personality. The next P is past. We look at people's past, because we are like a pressure cooker as we go through life. We take on lots of different things, and at some point our bodies can't take any more, and and our body literally is like, no, I can't do this anymore, and it will give us physical symptoms. And then once we've got those physical symptoms, we again get into that pain fear cycle. So sometimes we need to go back and look at the past, because let's say somebody that's grown up going through trauma, and when I say trauma, not even big trauma, things like moving house many times as a child, or bullying, even things like this, living with an alcoholic, parents that divorce, anything that can make a child feel a little bit on edge. They grow up with a nervous system that's already like on edge, and it feels normal to them. And then the minute they become an adult, their nervous system's already what we call dysregulated, and it stays that way. And then eventually the body's just like, no, I can't keep going like this, because when we're in a state of fight or flight, we are not repairing our body. We just can't.
Yeah, that's true. But how do you know if you're dysregulated, or you would just be not sleeping? Maybe?
There is some signs. Not sleeping is a real obvious sign. So if you're not sleeping, definitely that would be a big telltale sign. Other things, people that talk very, very quickly, usually is a sign I look for in people.
Because they're nervous. It's your height time. So
exactly. I can often tell, honestly, just by looking at people. They've got ever so slightly tighter bodies. They try to be absolutely perfect. Like if they're late for something, I'm so sorry, because they've put such high standards for themselves that they feel like they're letting everybody down and themselves when they don't reach it. I think everybody can sort of picture these characters, and they are lovely people, because they are amazing friends. They never let you down. They'll always be there for you, but they tend to put themselves last. So people, that's a good way of figuring out. People that put themselves last tend to have chronic pain. So that's the third P. And then the last P is practical tips. So when you physically feel the pain coming on in your back or wherever, I teach people how to get rid of that pain in the moment by actually, rather than pushing away from it, I teach people how to lean into it, because what we resist persists. And what most people do is they reach for a tablet or whatever, and then it numbs it. You can't feel it, which is okay, but it's not getting to the root cause of the problem. So I teach people how to lean into it, so much so that it kind of dissipates in the moment, puts them back into control.
Oh, wow. So it sounds like coaching in one way. Like, for example, I work with clients and I help them process their emotions, for example, and emotions can be painful, and it's always about acknowledging them, accepting them, and then letting them go. It sounds like that's what you do as well with the body.
Yeah, so I'm actually an ICF PCC coach. So most of what I do is using the coaching skills that I have.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the brain cannot tell the difference between a physical and an emotional threat. So when there's an emotional threat, our body will go, the little part of our brain will go, oh my goodness, there's an emotional threat. But the pain signal goes to your body. So for example, during those 10 years when I had back pain, I would not say at all that I had anxiety or stress or anything, but I did have incredibly bad back pain. But now when I look back on it, it's so obvious to me that I look back on all the times when the back pain was at its absolute worst. And it was always at times of stress.
Oh, yeah, of course. Definitely.
Even though I didn't feel stressed. And that's another indicator. When pain is worse when you're stressed, then yeah, absolutely, it's most likely neuroplastic pain. In which case it's curable, which is good news.
But also stress affects every part of the body anyway, doesn't it? when you
Yes.
think about it. Stress is,
Yeah.
I think stress is highly dangerous. But okay, so if anybody's watching and you know, they're in pain,
Yeah.
what would you say that they should do? Like, can people do this by themselves, or do they need to hire a coach?
So when I first discovered this, the book I read is actually now a little bit out of date, so I wouldn't recommend the book I read, but I can recommend a different book. There's a book called The Way Out by Alan Gordon. I was trained by Alan Gordon, and he's, in my opinion, one of the best professionals in the field, based out of the States. So the first thing I would say to anyone is have an open mind and realize that the science and research of pain has moved on so far. There's so much evidence, so much research, but you're never going to get it from your doctor. You're never going to get it from your osteopath, chiropractor, physio, unless you went to somebody that was trained on this stuff, right? So be open to the idea that there is something more than what the Western medical model teaches. And also what I'm doing, it's not at all woo-woo. It's 100% science-based. So for anyone listening, read a book like that or contact me and I'll send you a couple of videos from YouTube or whatever, because there's the education piece is absolutely crucial, because once you get that, then you can get on the path of seeing the connections between stress and pain. And when the minute that you're not scared of the pain anymore, your body can start to move through the motions of getting better. But obviously, if your body's full of tension and that's where you most likely would need
holding it. You're not letting it release, are you? You're just
exactly. And you know what, Jasmine, you would know as a coach, yes, you can do stuff like this on your own. Of course you can. But if you could have done it, you would have already done it by now. It's very hard to see your blind spots. That's why you need a coach sometimes to help you see what you can't see. You know, it's
definitely. Just having the other person there, just having somebody, I think. Because it can be overwhelming. I mean, especially if you're in pain, you just probably you don't know what to do you? You're just because when you're in pain, sometimes you can't even think clearly anyway.
Exactly. And it doesn't take long. Like the guy with the shoulder I was telling you about, 6 sessions done.
And it never came back?
No, and the one with the migraine I was telling you about, migraine had gone after 1 session, then he wanted the back pain to go. That had gone by 4 sessions. He'd paid for 6 sessions, and then he's gifted the other 2 sessions to his sister, who's also in pain. So 4 sessions, and he's got rid of back pain and migraine that he'd been having for years. I mean, obviously, I cannot promise that to people because I'm not actually in your body, But
what kind of things do you do in the sessions then? Like, do you just really focus on the painful area? Like, how do you?
It's quite the opposite, actually. The education piece is actually two different things. The education piece is like key, but then I'll do things like if someone's getting really like what makes people angry, we look at that. Why are you angry about that? And then different strategies to not be, but like really practical things that they can use depending on the situation. But then the flip side of this is I do somatic tracking, which is a technique where I get people to zoom in on the feeling. So for example, if you had a headache now, I'd get you to close your eyes and I'd get you to describe to me, what does that feel like in your head? And you would use words like, oh, it feels like tight, it feels like a ball, it's like, and where's the energetic center? Oh, it's between my eyes, it's here. And the more you describe it to me, the more it changes and it moves and stuff. So what this technique is doing is teaching your brain that it is neuroplastic pain, because by the end of, let's say, 5 minutes of doing that with you, I can promise you what you felt at the beginning will not be the same thing that you feel at the end. It will either have gone completely, or it would have moved to the side, or sometimes people are like, oh, it's in my head. Oh gosh, now it's in my shoulder. You know, if I can
believe
move,
that. It's like processing. It's processing what I do in coaching, but with emotions.
Yes, exactly. And it is literally incredible. Like someone will come and go, oh, my chest is so tight. And then somatic tracking, 10 minutes, gone.
Oh, totally. Yeah. No, I know how powerful. We call it process in coactive coaching. I know how powerful that is. I mean,
Yeah.
and hypnosis as well, because that can really work, you know, when because you're really embodying that pain, physical or emotional, and so you're releasing it at the same time. Oh wow, I didn't know that's how it worked with you as well. That's really, really interesting. I had
Jasmine,
no idea.
we
I
should
had
hang
no
out more often.
I had no idea that that would work with physical pain. That's
Yes, you
actually
should try it.
amazing.
Yeah, try it. It's
That's actually amazing.
yeah.
It totally makes sense. Like, why wouldn't it work actually? If it works with emotion, like you said, emotional and physical, it's
the same.
the same.
And you know, it makes me so sad that people have come to me like someone recently was told he needed a double hip replacement. I was like, really? Okay, let's just do a few weeks. No, he's not going to get a double hip replacement now. It's been 5 sessions. He can
I
walk
can't
straight
believe that.
again. You know,
Wow.
like so. Yeah, this when you say it's like magic, it kind of is like magic. But on the other hand, it's so obviously science based, and when you
Yeah.
understand it, it's like, oh yeah, it's so obvious. We're just
I guess
teaching the brain to unlearn the pain, basically.
yeah, I guess it could. I mean, it's similar to the emotional pain, but I guess sometimes the emotional pain can be really deep and there's layers, layers, layers. It depends. Is that the same as that? It could be layers, layers, layers. I would imagine it's not as deep, but I don't know.
Not necessarily. So I tend to find musculoskeletal things like knees, ankles, backs. These, and this is a generalization, but these tend to be more personality based. People who have got really the personalities I listed earlier.
Yeah.
Whereas things more like fibromyalgia, migraines, and these sort of more neurological things tends to be more linked to what happened to them as a child. So it just depends. So for me, I have like these intake forms, and so based on what comes back from the intake forms, I have a very good idea where to focus the time. So there's not like I don't ever do the same 6 sessions with anybody. It depends on the client.
Yeah.
Some people actually, the reason I got into this was after I fixed my own back. I came back to Dubai and I had a barbecue with a friend who had a back pain, really bad back pain. He couldn't even stand up. And he was cooking the sausages. And as he cooked the sausages, I told him my story. And the next thing I know, he's got no back pain because he just listened to the theory. And that alone was enough for it to go. And I was like, this is magic.
Give yourself permission to heal yourself. I do believe that you can heal yourself, like 100%. I believe that if we can allow our body to, we show our body, we might need to show it, you know, then we can with most. But how did you, so with yourself, did somebody help you do it then?
Yeah, so it was at the time when I was training to be a coach. And because I knew I would be living in Sri Lanka as an expat for a long time, I'd previously been a HR director in Dubai, and I knew there's no way I can go and be a stay-at-home mom and do absolutely no job at all. So I decided I'm going to sign up for a coaching course, but like the Rolls Royce of coaching course. So every single day I had to dial in and do peer coaching with somebody around the world. So the minute I understood that it was about the past, it was about my personality, I just started using all the peer coaching sessions. They were not trained on pain at all, but I was getting trained up on pain. So I knew the pain stuff. They were good coaches. And I'm also a Gallup Strengths coach. So the personality part I already could do because I'm trained in personality separately. I've been trained on that long time. So I did get a lot of help through coaches. But
that's the good thing about coaching, because you learn so much.
I was just so lucky because I literally session after session after session, I was unpacking little bits and things here and there.
Yeah. So. No, that's amazing. And David says, good to see you again, Gemma. Do you see any shift in the medical profession's reluctance to believe that there is a possibility of improvement? An example, fibromyalgia, CFS, etc. I collapsed at Christmas, went to hospital, was told by the paramedic that my idea of
Wow.
It's delusional. Right.
Yeah, good question. So just for anyone listening, Dr. Shubner and Sarno is the guy that wrote the book that I read that literally changed my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so Sarno's passed away now, but he's the pioneer in all of this. And Shubner kind of took over the research and everything. And he's absolutely phenomenal what he's done. So in answer to the question, yes and no. I think the medical field is becoming more aware of it. I recently went to a big physio place here in Dubai. I won't say which one. I met with all their physios, and every single one of the physios said to me, yes, I believe everything you're saying. I have patients that come in here on a regular basis that just need a rub down, which basically means they walk in, the physio knows there's nothing structurally wrong, but by physically being there, touching them a little bit, making them feel good. They stand, the client feels in control, and then they leave with no pain. So all the physios, they got it. They're on board. They know. But where it fell down is the next level up of osteopaths or chiropractors. And I'm not saying all, because I've met loads of open-minded ones here in Dubai who refer people to me, because an osteopath is not trained on the mind. An osteopath is trained on the physical body. So what they can do is make sure the alignment's all how it should be. But if you can keep aligning someone and then it doesn't stay, if you have to keep going back to the physio, osteopath, then your body's not accepting the changes. That's when they refer them to me, which is great. I've also met a surgeon here in Dubai who said he said he feels really sad when people come for surgery and they max out on all their insurance premiums, and he knows there's nothing he can do for them because he knows it's neuroplastic, and he gives them a book. And I was like, good man. So there are pockets of people that really get this, that like really get this. I would say I haven't found that many in Dubai, if I was to be honest. But I recently went through PRT training from the States. There was 150 people on the training, and about 50% of them were medical professionals, and 50% of them were people like me, more trained in the brain side. So it is shifting, and my hope is that by the time I get to retirement age, it will be so easy and obvious what I'm doing. It won't be a job anymore. I hope this is taught in schools.
I know. Yeah. It just seems like a no-brainer. Like, of course it's connected with the brain. Like, you know, how can everything's connected? I mean, everything is the brain, isn't it? Everything.
Exactly.
You know, I guess we don't know I feel like we just don't know hardly anything, do we, about the brain? So much to know. But no, that's I think it's absolutely I didn't even know, even though I've known you for a while, I didn't even know that's what you did.
It's a bit of a boring topic to bring up when we're out there, isn't it, Jasmine?
But it's just you can heal yourself. So is there anything else? Look, we've run out of time. I mean, we could talk about this. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. But is there anything else you can tell us about this before you go? And also, how can people find you?
Yes, well, I know you want to finish exactly on the dot. So, and I also know that we've kind of just skimmed the surface of what this is all about. So if anyone is interested in knowing more about this, on my website, I have a free quiz called Is Your Pain Curable? And it's basically a video of me going through the theory, whilst at the same time you have a PDF with the questions and markers that I look at before I take on a client. So do you have these personality traits? Did this happen to you as a child, etc., etc.? And then you will have a good or better idea of that. And just reach out to me, because I'm happy to jump on a call with you and help you to know. And honestly, if I think I can help you, I'll be honest. And if I think I can't, I'll also be honest. I never, ever work with someone I don't think I can help. So
yes. That's amazing. Yes, please do put all your links on the post, and then people can just click on them as well. But no, thank you so much, Gemma. It's been really, really interesting. And for anybody who wants to contact Gemma, please message her directly or click on the link on the post. And you offer consultations as well, so people could just have maybe a chat with you just to see, because I think this is quite a relatively It is new, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
I'm surprised that I didn't know, to be honest, after all the coaching that I've done, I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
And I'm in this field, you know?
Yeah. I
So
know. It's exciting. I love
I know.
being in this role.
It's brilliant. But thank you so much, Gemma. And thank you, everybody, for joining. And I will see everybody next week.
Super. Thank you, Jasmine.